Now, the rest of the story.
All right, looking into the light. Hopefully the microphone's working. If not, I guess we're just out of luck. So we're in the process of replacing the 76's seat with a 5-gallon pail. Well, I joke, but that may become more and more of a reality here the more this thing gets on my nerves. So I can't 100% remember everything I've said about the 76's seat, but the thing has been losing air. And 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, because it was the fall of 2020. Does that sound right? We're going with it. The frame had failed on my seat, and my seat, did this awesome recliner thing where the back was trying to touch the floor, but the front end was still sitting up. So $600 frame, plus the kit to replace all of, the rollers and everything in it. Greased everything up, did an awesome job. The frame is the only thing I replaced. Awesome. Put it back in, and the tractor, when being used throughout the day, the seat was fine. There was no noticeable leak, but what I had noticed was that when it sat overnight, he'd come back the next morning. You guys look at my face. There we go. When you come back the next morning, the seat would be down, but at least you didn't have to constantly fill it up throughout the day. So me, wanting to have this tractor as best fixed up as best I can, when I say that with the corner post gone, that's like a $200, I think, fix to do that. And then if I do this, I'm gonna end up doing the headliner because this is starting to fall and getting off topic here. So I went through, I figured, well, the tractor's got 9,000 hours on it. At least it didn't at that time, but it does now. That airbag was looking kind of meh, but I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that the airbag may have had a slow leak, or the threads that come out of the fitting of the airbag. I took notice when I was putting it back together the first time that I had trouble getting that fitting to start, so I was thinking maybe that was an issue. So fast forward, new airbag, new fittings, plus air line that goes from the airbag, new air line to the pump, all new. Put it back in, it's worse than before. So that way you're really knowing you're getting places in life when you actually are worse off after you fixed it than what you were if you just left it alone. So insult to injury. Then ran it for, when did I fix that? Was that before last fall? And then I ran it all last fall, having to literally pump the seat back up every hour, because as you're running it, you're gradually settling to where if you don't notice it, one of two things happens. Number one, I'm tall, I'm all legs, so me in particular, you start to notice that my knees are getting higher and higher, the rest of my body is slowly sinking down. And then on top of that, if you don't notice that right away, well, camera's gonna be stupid, but we're gonna roll with it. The second thing that would happen is if enough air gets out of it and you don't notice that your knees are getting higher, you hit a bump and then the seat will bottom out. And that has to be a pretty severe bump, but that'll definitely wake you up. So what I went ahead and did was I got the pump, because the pump in this whole equation is the only thing that hasn't been replaced yet. Everything else is new. That is a $620 or $619 fix that if this doesn't do it, I'm gonna put a 5-gallon pail in it and take a sledgehammer to the seat. So went through, took the suspension out, cleaned the cab up. For the most part, it's gonna get cleaned out again 2 or 3 times before field work, the rate we're going. I have to take the suspension off the seat. Some people may say you don't have to. Ryan and I were gonna eject it out the back window, but there was no way that we could have done it without either of us getting hurt, because by the time I would have gotten it back out the window and kind of finagled it to where I wouldn't have destroyed my window, it would have fallen on Ryan and probably crushed him. So I had to go ahead, and it's only 4 bolts. It's just, I'm fully to the point. I'm just annoyed with it. This is switched over to the category of frustrated with you. I'm sick of looking at you. I don't want to see you anymore. We're effectively broken up. I managed to find some grease. So in the process of taking it off, taking it over to the bench, and starting to look things over, I want you guys to look at something and tell me if you notice anything. So, where's my light? Got my Nebo light here. Brian's making a lot of noise. He's bringing the trailer up here. So, there's the pump. We got that taken off. You guys not feeling sick? So there's the hose, the fitting end that goes into the pump. All right, got a mental note of that. Now we're gonna go over here. The fitting that goes into the top of the airbag. Granted, I haven't done anything but just loosen. Excuse me, still fighting cold. Just loosen that top out. You guys notice anything? Anything at all? Speak up. I'm gonna say those in the back. Let me know. There's no tape on those threads. So that one's sealed up. You think that with the hose and everything right here, you know, it'd be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that is potentially the problem. So what I'm gonna do is first off blame Ryan for not putting thread tape on that. Damn it, Ryan! It's a joke for those of you that don't get jokes. It's not Ryan's fault, it's my fault. I did 100% of this job and 100% of the swearing that went in with it. I was actually thinking it was this guy. That is the air release for the seat. And this pump right here is actually bigger than the replacement pump, which I'm trying to be very careful with this because I'm hoping I can take it back. Because as annoying and aggravating as this is, I'm gonna thread tape that up, super duper tighten down everything. Even I'll go ahead and say it, that was actually loose on there too. Not super loose, but noticeable. Probably would have been better if it had thread on it or thread tape on it. But let's see, I gotta be careful here. Give you guys motion sickness. Sorry, Dave. This is I didn't do that, so you didn't see that. Where'd that go? Get the dust off of it because it doesn't look good if you try to take back parts that are covered in dirt and dust. This is the replacement pump. It subs out excuse me, to a different design altogether. Smaller lines, which I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know. It may actually be better, to be quite honest, but yeah, I'm hoping I can take that back. And I'm gonna take off the old thread tape on the other end, forget to put thread tape on it, and then reassemble it, and then sit and cuss because nothing got fixed. Yes, cussing is just part of it. No, I'm thinking that'll fix it. I really do. Excuse me, I gotta blow my nose. So I'm gonna thread that very heavily, tighten it down very heavily. Because it's one of those things where it's subtle, you just don't notice it. But if that isn't it, it's got to be the pump, right? I mean, I don't know what else it could be. I mean, it could have been the airbag again. I mean, that maybe the airbag wasn't the issue in the first place, but The airbag could be bad, the threads could be bad, the fittings that are already on there could be bad, even though they're brand new. When you start getting into issues like that, this kind of stuff can really drive you crazy. So let me go ahead and put this back together. I may end the video right here and maybe update you later on, because I go through and put this back together and put it in. I won't know if it works until like maybe tomorrow. But just in case. Take care, take it easy, keep in touch. Thanks for tuning in. I know you guys I'm getting asked to do more as I'm working on it stuff, but don't have a whole lot of those kind of projects going on, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, that's great for me. I'll talk to you guys later. Okay, so I want to talk about this really quick. I'm going to try to talk over the rain because the rain is not letting up, and I thought I'd have a chance to talk without it in the background, but I'm going to try to start piecing this back together. And continuation of the last video, this didn't hold air. So what I've come to find out in the process of tearing this back out apart again, from the previous video, this fitting, which was mounted right here, didn't have any thread tape on it. I thought that was the problem. So went through, rethreaded it, put it back in the tractor, didn't fix it. Within 2 hours it was starting to settle. In the process of tearing this back apart again, I've noticed this side of the fitting had pre-applied sealant on it, but looking at it a bit closer, it was a terrible amount. So I'm leaning on the potential that this fitting is bad, didn't seal, but I'm gonna go ahead and put the new pump on it, because looking at the old pump, granted this tractor has over 9,000 hours on it, see all the metal flakes there? I think this pump is potentially tearing itself apart internally. I think it's this right here. This is where the air relief comes out of, or the air releases out of. And I just want to believe at this point that the original pump is leaking internally and is giving me all this headache, because once I go through and put this all back together, which it's still up in the air. I already talked to Sloan's. They have this airbag. It's tempting to go put another new airbag in it to give it the middle finger, and then everything is new in it, so all the old problems are gone. But new pump, new fittings, somewhat new airbag. I'm really leaning towards, I mean, what else can it honestly be at this point? It's got to be the old pump. Excuse me. So I mean, the air fittings and the line is good, was good, redone. The airbag was new less than a year ago, plus if I put a new pump in and it's still leaking, I don't know what it could be. I really don't. So I'm gonna put this back together and I'll show you guys the finished result. Okay, and a quick deconstruction of the old pump. Dad has found some pretty obvious wear and tear on it. And what is it, just this right here, or
seal around there?
It looks to me like it's foobarred. So I'm gonna
There and there both.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say that, not trying to use a 4-letter word, but hope that is all the problem we're dealing with. Was it's able to pump it up, but it's probably leaking back through in the piston there. Because it's like all this, the metal filings were coming out back there. So yeah, it's getting tired. So at least that's one step in the right direction. Okay, so final installment of this video. Pretty well certain we got it figured out, which this is what, the 3rd time now I've said that. So, well, 3rd time's a charm, 4th time you usually got it. Same airbag, and the new pump is all mounted in there pretty well. Oh, actually I gotta mount put a cable tie around that quick. But it's smaller air lines. It's the press-in fittings versus the threaded, which I don't know whether I like it or not, as long as it works. I'm really not crazy about the plastic fittings, but as long as it works at this point, I really don't care. So we'll put this back in there and hope for the best, deal with the rest.